This is Al Fritsch at earthhealing.info. We're at the Wildlife Education Center called Salado near Frankfort, Kentucky, and we're looking at their model backyard wildlife area and hoping that this would be an example for us to try to put things like this in. Today is a day in which the school breaks have occurred, a beautiful day in early April, and there are actually thousands of people here, astounding at the number, who are looking at the different exhibits that are inside the building.
And do the schools do field trips as well?
Oh, yes. Insect single, we're happening.
I bet. I bet.
I didn't know you were going to have so many people here today. Oh, it's spring break.
Right.
We're at the Salado Wildlife Backyard Wildlife Center, and this is an area that is really a good primary place to begin your own backyard in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Other places will have their own maybe, but not maybe as comprehensive as they have here. We've got to remember that in Kentucky we have 3,000 wild plants that grow here. We have 350 birds, 236 fish, we have 75 mammals, 55 reptiles, and 50 types of amphibians. This is an enormous amount, and it doesn't include the butterflies and other areas too. So this is the wealth that the state has. And we're not going to put all these in the backyard, but we could put a few. And this is what they're doing here, and we're taking a close look at what a model type of backyard could be, because it's about the size of what a person would normally have in the homes that are 55% of the homes of this state are owned by individuals, are individual homes that and apartments that they have yardage, green space with them. Right over here we can see over there we see a squirrel that's and so it is attractive, and you have to have an attractive place, and of course that means that you have to have it apart from the pets, especially the cats, but also the dogs can run off a lot of the wildlife, and nothing is more beautiful than a squirrel, a brown squirrel that we have in this area of the country and world. And so they have a lot of trees here. And this is in early April before the foliage is out in full, but it gives us a chance to see what they're doing. They have potted plants here, and that shows that they got it out early, and therefore there's color already at the earliest part of when we have the dogwoods getting ready to come out, and we already have the red bud, and we'll see some of these, but having potted plants there early gives us a sense of color is coming for the summer. Then we see that they have a pond, and other places have these too to some degree, but this is a beautiful little pond that's got some growth on it, and it's built more like a hill, so it gives a idea of a number of items that will be coming during the summertime, and gives you a good feeling for your backyard. It's a wildscape. That's what it should be, not a lawn which uses exotic types of invasive species even that are there and trying to, in some ways, pretend that it is overly beautiful when really the wildness gives a beauty of its own. And we've got to learn with that number of treasures that we have in our state that maybe we can attract birds, and as we can hear it in the background, and we can also have a lot of plants to some degree, and a few trees. You can't have too many or you'll be completely shaded. And the birds seem to like it very much here, as we can see. And they'll be nesting here in just a matter of weeks. Okay. Just do a smiling.
Okay.
I can't smile on you. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be difficult. I just wanted to explain that these two ponds are actually little waterfalls that come down from the grotto.
Oh, okay.
And those are off right now because it's a little bit too early in the year.
Okay, so the
they might
water
freeze
falls.
up at night, so we just keep them off until we
Where
know that
where will
it's
the water
safe.
be fall?
Well, you see
Oh, I
down
see
here on the
up at-
right, that
okay,
will come
they-
down through here, and then
There's another one over there.
during the midsummer, this whole bush back here is grown over,
Okay.
and it makes perfect protection.
Oh,
and
I
the animals
see.
and birds will come in and they will bathe up there at the top, and
Is
then
that
the
right?
falls are still coming
It's a
down.
waterfall that's
So
also used
it's,
as a water.
you've got this wonderful water feature that the birds especially will, that really attracts them.
Oh,
Having
okay.
the sound of the
But
water
you haven't turned it
bubbling,
on yet.
But they're just not on yet.
But that's a good thing to think about people having at their own
We've got
backyard.
this bubbler over here, so a lot of people don't want to go to this much trouble. They
Okay.
think it's a lot of work. And, you know, once you've got it in, it's not really. But a bubbler will do just as well. It's the noise. They hear
They like the
bubbling
noise of
water,
running water.
and that attracts them in. We have all kinds of wildlife in here. We come in here in the morning and find all kinds of things in here.
Do you have a deer that would come in possibly?
No, that would be difficult because the place is fenced off.
Oh, okay.
And we usually don't have wild deer actually inside.
Rabbits? Do you
here.
have other things?
Rabbits, skunks, groundhogs, and
Groundhogs.
I don't. That will bother some people, but actually, you know, away from the
Oh, the skunks. Oh,
away
beautiful.
from your buildings, you know,
Oh.
away from your dogs and things
I
like
know.
that.
We are probably a little early for all this, aren't we? But we ask people, invite people to come and see
Oh yes.
what you got here.
And in another 2 weeks, from now till November, there will be something different blooming in here all
All
summer
the
long.
time,
It's
isn't it?
it's been specially designed that there's always blooms in here, so it's always beautiful, and it changes almost every week.
Wonderful. I think you've done a good job explaining this to me that I didn't understand myself when I walked out. But and I guess it says here the monarch. Do you actually have monarchs that come here?
We do, but of course here in our area they come late.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I would encourage people to go ahead, put in their way stations, do a little research, put in
Okay.
the milkweed and everything for them, but not to get discouraged because the monarchs, we get the monarchs coming back
Okay.
in the late summer and very early fall.
By coming
August and
back from
September.
up further
From
north?
up north, yeah.
Okay.
So
And
don't
so
be
the
discouraged.
milkweeds by
They're
that
coming.
time would be in. Do you actually grow milkweed?
We do. We
here?
we grow milkweed. We've got a monarch way station out front. We grow
okay.
several different kinds of native milkweeds
Okay.
and nectar plants for the adults.
Okay.
But you know, this isn't really the mission of Fish and Wildlife. You know, it's
Yes.
conservation management. But we like to encourage people to remember that their yards matter.
Yes.
Every yard matters.
Every year. I
One
like
s-
that.
One spot like this in
Yeah.
the middle of a neighborhood,
Will
makes
change
a
the whole
difference.
complex of the neighborhood.
it makes a huge difference, not just to the butterflies that are flying over and spot it and the
Yeah.
mammals that are looking for water, but the neighbors see it.
The neighbors see it and will do it.
And they will. It's beautiful. I want to do this.
I remember
the
in
kids will bring
Santa
friends
Clara,
home and-
California, where I was at one time, the one person put in their native
Mm-hmm.
backyard. They tried to stop it by calling the police and the fire departments, and she fought it all. Now the whole street
Isn't
has
that
got
marvelous
the same
that
thing.
somebody really cared that much and
Cared that
made
much.
a difference? You do have to be careful about your HOAs and your community laws. You want to be mindful of those in your front yard. You want to be mindful of, you've got neighbors that you have to keep happy, but you can do something in your backyard and most neighbors aren't going to see it. They're not going to complain, and it does matter. It matters
And your
a
name
lot.
again is?
My name is Susan Hawkins.
Susan Harkins has just been giving us a pep talk on why we need to have a backyard garden in every place that has green space in their backyard.
Plant natives.
Native plants.
If you don't know what you're doing, start slow. Don't be discouraged.
And do it on a small scale,
Yeah.
moving upward.
I encourage people to start out with like maybe 10% of their yard, and then every year build up.
Well, that's good. I
Unless
like
you
that.
know what you're doing. If you really
Yeah.
know what you're doing,
I like that.
because I don't want people to get overwhelmed,
That's
and then they
right.
decide, oh, I just can't do this.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
and
you're
then
getting me encouraged.
Yeah.
I have a space that we need to do this to, and
Even-
that's what we're trying to do the YouTube about.
And even with the water, I mean, a bird bath. I have bird baths, and I have little galvanized steel, galvanized metal dishes. They're all over my yard. I mean,
Okay.
you don't have to spend a lot of money either. I
No.
mean, it's not, natives aren't
Do you
expensive.
feed your birds during the winter time?
Yes, I feed them all year
well, that's
long.
important, isn't it?
And we keep suet out through until it starts to melt because the babies eat it. The parents come in and get the suet for their babies. So we put out several different kinds of seeds. We put out the suet. And we put seeds out on the ground for the squirrels.
Okay.
If you keep the squirrels happy on the ground, they'll leave your feeders alone.
Yeah.
Unless you've got tons of them, and then that's I can't help you. And it's
Millions of
great
them.
getting the message out to people. We have a list of native plant nurseries. We don't recommend any of them. The state agency, we don't do that. But if someone would like that, I'd be glad to stick one in the mail. Just
Okay.
give us a call.
Okay.
We have an email address.
Well, can you give us one, and then we could?
I can, and you can put that up on yours. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I understand you don't want to be advertising.
Yeah,
but-
we can't, but I do encourage people to get natives and make sure that they aren't treated, they're not sprayed, and that you're getting the real regional genetics.
Okay. Okay.
So-
That's good to know.
They want to watch out for neonicotinoids.
Yeah.
That's a systematic pesticide. So we want to make sure. That's why we encourage natives, because most natives aren't being treated that way yet.
Okay.
But if you buy something that's been treated with that systematic pesticide, anything that eats it's going to die. Anything.
Yeah.
It's great for your garden. You know, it looks beautiful. The
necessarily
insects
even
don't
there.
eat it, but it's not good for the wildlife.
Yeah.
So that's important. And even if you go to someone who's selling you a native, you want to make sure that they've not used any pesticides while it's been in the nursery there.
Okay.
So you can take it home and it might.
Now, the list that you'll give us include those that have pesticides that they use. Is that right? They're not all organic.
No, anything that's on my list shouldn't be treating their plants, but I would encourage people to ask because I might be wrong,
Okay.
you know. And things change, you know,
I
things just
know.
change.
I
You,
know.
you have bees come out? How are the bees doing here? 'Cause I know they're affected by the pesticides as
Well,
well.
we have a lot of native bees, a lot of native pollinators that come in here. We don't on site. I don't think we have honeybees or anything like that. We don't do that.
Encourage
But
that, yeah.
we don't have any trouble with pollinators getting them in here. That's
Yeah.
A little question.
Sure.
The two flowers, the two pots, or three, I think, are those native
no. These are pansies.
pansies?
There's
They're
just
the
you
regular
know,
pansies.
we try to do this.
But
and
to
these-
give color during the color.
it helps people see that this is really their backyard.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Okay. I didn't
And
bring
it's
it.
okay to put cultivars in your backyard.
Why
You
not?
can put
Why
pansies
not?
in the ground.
They're not
you know,
invasive.
as long as you're not putting in something that's invasive. Exactly. And there are tons of, in fact, there are tons of annuals that are not invasive that the butterflies love.
They love 'em.
Lantana and zinnia and cosmos.
Do the
Yeah.
butterflies actually come here?
Yes.
Because you do have some
Yes, they
red
do.
flowers.
Once the natives start blooming, almost all of them are nectar flowers, and almost any pollinator will take advantage of them. Yeah, and we've got different kinds of blooms because some of your pollinators have long tongues and they can get into those deep tubes, and some of them need the little flat things because they have shorter tongues. So we have a variety there's always something blooming here with nectar. We have the different structures, the different colors. So yes, you can come here and sit here and watch wildlife and pollinators all day long, all season long.
I'm sorry we're not getting here in a time that is
Yeah.
more active, but
it's
it's
still
all right.
beautiful.
It's all right. It's still beautiful, and
still
it's beautiful for this time of year, which is what is important for people to know too. Here are some steps that we should remember after we saw the resources at Salado, and that is to first learn and assemble the local resources that we have. And we will look at that at the place that we will investigate here at our church. And assess our own resources. How much can we put into it? How much time? How much effort? How much money? Develop plans for the work. Some people need to do a little bit of work in order to put in more than what a brush pile or some type of pond, but these all take a little bit of effort. Fourth is to assemble volunteers and materials that will help you in some way. Somebody needs to help be the chair of the wildscape, whether it's a home or whether you have a church or a school. Somebody should be in charge. And that always makes it go a lot faster. Lay out ways to protect wildlife habitat. There are ways available, whether we're talking about the boxes that we use for birds or water baths and so forth, but lay these out so that we know what we got. And publicize the results that you have. Once you begin to do a wildscape, let others see it. Let others see that what you're doing, so that it gives them on a word by face-to-face interaction, and they will take it up and carry it on from there. So all of these are different things that we can do. Encourage all to get involved. We need to save our wildlife. We are looking at the possibility here of a backyard wildlife habitat. And it has a lot of things going for it. Over as we start at the brown house at the right, we really have about 2.5 acres of green space here. How would you make it more wildlife friendly? It certainly is somewhat. We have a pile down there below where between the two large mature trees, the maple and the sycamore, and there is a pile of brush in those areas, which allows a certain amount of wildness to it in itself. We move along and we see that there is a pond here, and the pond is already built. It is filled with tadpoles, and the frogs love it, and it's a great opportunity for us to find that we can have fish in there too in the summertime, and it's just something that could be part of your total wildlife habitat. As we look over to the other side, to the south, we see that there is a lot of fruit trees in there. We see a white blooming cherry tree there, but this is still early April when this was being shot. And we've had already the blooms for the peaches. The apples are just getting ready to come on. And so there's a good opportunity for us to get different types of trees. We also have others in that area too. Behind there, and behind the white building that we have, is another spot where we have cultivated land. So there's a variety already there, a variety that we can see to some degree. Beyond that is a dense pine forest, which also has a lot of birds that nest in that area. And as we move around, we have a good facing east now. We have a brush pile to the far end. We may look at that a little closer. And the brush pile has, we've seen tarpons there. We've seen that there's rabbits in some ways. And there's also squirrels in this area. But the cats drive the squirrels away to some way. And so you have to remember that pets can be good in some sense, and they can be pests as far as wildlife goes in another. They can drive the wildlife away. Then as we move around, we see that there's brush into the far end down there, and brush is always important. The Salado Center says they have a lot of brush piles, which means that it's important for them. As we look around the bottom here, there is a wetland which hasn't been developed yet, but is here and should be. We see 2 or 3 wetland plants already. It shouldn't be mowed so much as it should be left in wildscape. And therefore we can put different water plants in those areas. Because this place was once built as a spring, and right over a spring. And so there's a lot of water that naturally seeps here out all through the summertime, even when it's not raining. There is a row of pear trees which have been planted on the left side here. And then as you go up the slope, it's blueberries have been planted, most of it, but we've also got some hazelnuts which are down on the grounds. and other trees which are both native and those that are exotic that have been brought in. And they furnish a good background when they grow up, that they will allow a wildscape to be all the more impressive. We have mulberries over along the hedgerow that's over in the background. That hedgerow is still partly ours, and it will be left that way for the wildlife. But it is one of those things that we have to consider. We don't want to keep a place totally clean, nor do we want it to be necessarily totally wildlife. And so we want a mix of both, and that would make it a better, more impressive place. As our people at Salado said, try to keep a process of growing more wildlife habitat over a period of time, increasing it maybe 10% per year. We are dedicating this video to Wayne Davis, the late Wayne Davis, Professor Emeritus, University of Kentucky, once the head of the Department of Biology, who also believed in backyard wildlife. In fact, he and his wife Shirley went across the state of Kentucky and at different locations put up 1,000 bluebird boxes. You are seeing the one that is at the rest stop at near Frankfort, Kentucky. He put these up and they are still functioning, where bluebirds can come each year and use these as a habitat.